Good evening, everyone. Guys, am I audible? Yeah, yeah. Thank you. Sorry for the delay. There was some problem with my network here, right? So I was unable to join in time. Okay, so the last few sessions, we have seen how hackers are trying to crack passwords, right? What different kind of techniques are being used by hackers to crack the passwords of end users and all, right? So be it sniffing the network or be it trying to steal the passwords using phishing or maybe by using keyloggers. So yesterday you have also said compared to sniffers or phishing, keylogging is more dangerous, right? So have you guys found some solution for the keylogger part? Did you find something which we can do to protect ourselves from a keylogger? Guys, did you find some solution for the keylogger problem? Uh, yes, Nagraj, when you say few antiviruses are giving you some solution, that will be working for those keyloggers which do not have the stealth mode. Right. So remember yesterday when we are discussing, we said hackers prefer keyloggers which support stealth mode. Means so those keyloggers which are supporting stealth mode, they are invisible. Right. So they are invisible to the end user or invisible to the operating system itself. Right. So here, if it is a stealth keylogger, your antivirus applications also will not be able to identify the keylogger. Right. And anything else. You can try system restoration. That's one option. But when you say you know that there is a keylogger, you can try system restoration. But how do you identify that there is a keylogger? So the main challenge here is, as an end user, we should be able to identify that there is some keylogger. Right? So if we are unable to identify that there is a keylogger, we'll not be able to go with system restoration. Right? And that too, system restoration will be possible provided you have a system restoration or system restore point created, right? So if system restore point is not created, you'll not be able to restore it. So that's another issue we have. And yesterday we were discussing about two different scenarios, right? The first scenario is where we assume that you are trying to access internet from a third party computer, right? Maybe some cyber cave system and all. And then the second scenario is you are trying to access internet on your own computer. So did anyone else find some other solutions? Okay, so didn't get any solution. Okay, so let me tell you what you can do. So we'll first speak about the first scenario. The first scenario is where you are trying to access internet from unknown computer. So on unknown computer, obviously you don't know what all things are installed on the system. So in such condition, when you try to boot up the computer, now let's say the computer is already powered on, right? So when you power on the computer or when the system is already running, can I say the operating system is loaded from the local hard drive of that computer? Operating system is loaded from the local hard drive of that computer. Is it correct? Yes. And where is the keylogger installed? Keylogger is also installed on to the local hard drive itself, right? Maybe on the C drive or D drive, wherever the operating system is present. Right. So now, if I can boot this computer bypassing the hard drive, if I can boot the computer bypassing the hard drive, will this keylogger be able to capture my activities? So if I can bypass the hard drive and directly boot up the computer, this keylogger will not be able to capture my activities. Right. Now, how do we bypass the operating system coming from the hard drive? So to bypass operating system from booting from the local hard drive, you can try to start this computer using a live USB or a bootable USB or a bootable CD. So if you can boot it via bootable CD or a USB, you'll be able to bypass the operating system from the local hard drive. Okay. So for you to boot up through the local CD or maybe the local USB or the bootable USB, unfortunately, Windows will not be useful because Windows cannot be directly used without formatting and installing it on the computer. So Windows will not really help us, but you can go with Linux. So Linux supports something called live boot mode. So Linux supports something called live boot mode, where you don't need to format and install Linux on the computer. You don't have to format and install it on the computer. You can directly boot it from the CD or you can directly boot it from your USB. So using a Linux bootable CD or a USB, if you boot this computer, you are bypassing the operating system on the hard drive, and at the same time, even if there is a keylogger installed on this machine, because operating system itself is not booting from the local hard drive, that keylogger will not be active. That keylogger will not be active and it will not be able to capture any of the activities. So is it clear? Guys, is the audio clear? So what I'm saying is, if I use a Linux bootable CD or maybe a USB and try to boot this computer directly from the bootable CD or the USB, right? I am bypassing the operating system that is present on the local hard drive, right? So I'll be able to bypass the operating system that's present on the local hard drive. And if operating system is not booting from the local hard drive, even the keylogger that is installed here will not be active. So if the keylogger is not active, it will not be able to capture our user activities, right? It will not be able to capture our usernames or the passwords. Okay. So is that clear? So on a unknown computer, because you don't know what is installed here, you don't know if there is a keylogger installed or not, right? So instead of taking a chance, you can directly boot that unknown computer through a Linux CD or a USB, right? So directly boot it from Linux CD or USB so that you don't have to worry about if there is a keylogger installed on this computer or not. So you can just boot up the Linux operating system, you have your web browser, you have your office packages, and do whatever activity you are trying to do. Once you are done, you can remove the CD or remove the USB, restart the computer. It will just go back to the normal operating system from the local hard drive. So whatever activity you have done cannot be captured by the keylogger. Okay, so is that clear? Chandu, Hiren's boot CD and all will not let you browse internet and all, and say you have some attachments like say PDF or Word or something, you'll not be able to view them. So I would say the best thing is to go with a Linux Live USB, right? Because even carrying a CD is not that easy, not so comfortable, right? So the better option, carry a Linux Live USB, and if you are not used to Linux operating system, right, you can try with something called Linux Mint, uh, simple and user-friendly version, and it will also work on systems which does not have very high-end resources. Right? So even if a system has as basic as 1 GB RAM, you'll be able to run Linux Mint from USB and it will work. So is it clear how you can protect yourself when browsing internet on an unknown computer? Okay. So now let us speak about the second scenario where we assume that there is a keylogger installed on our system. Right. So the second scenario that we have taken is we are assuming that there is a keylogger installed on our computer because of some other software that we have downloaded and installed. So we are not really sure if the keylogger is available or not, and we wanted to see if there is a keylogger or not. Because on your computer on a day-to-day activity, you will not be able to boot up your computer always through a Linux pen drive and then start using it, right? So on your system, you want it always to be up and running, and you'll have a lot of data to be saved and all that. So you'll not be able to go with a Linux Live CD there. So in such conditions, what you can do is install a free software. You can install a free software called Belarc Advisor. Right? Install this free software called Belarc Advisor. This you can directly download from the official Belarc website. Right? So directly go to the Belarc website and download this one. Right? This is a free software. No need to purchase any license and all. Right? What this Belarc Advisor does, it will give you a list of all installed softwares. Right. So Belarc Advisor will give you a list of all installed softwares on your computer. Belarc will not tell you that so and so XYZ is a keylogger. Belark will only tell you these are all the softwares that are installed on your computer, right? So from that list of computers, sorry, from that list of softwares which are installed on your computer, you have to see how many of the applications or how many of those softwares are installed by you, and if there is any software that you don't recognize or you don't know that you have installed, right? So obviously when you are using your computer, you know what kind of softwares or what kind of tools you have installed, right? And when you have a list of all the installed tools on your computer, can you easily identify if you have installed so and so XYZ software or not? You have a list of all the tools which are present on your computer, right? And when you go through the list of all those tools, will you be able to identify how many of these tools are installed by you and how many of these tools are not installed by you? So guys, what do you say? So if you have a list of all the installed tools, you will be able to see how many of those tools are actually installed by you, right? Because obviously you are the one who is installing everything on the system, right? So let us see how this Belark advisor will work, right? Should have Belark advisor. So as I said, Belark advisor is a free tool, right? So you don't need to purchase any license for this, right? Install the software. So it will try to download all the new updated signatures and all, right? So let it download the signatures. So these particular signatures have nothing to do with showing you the list of tools. The signatures are only useful to see if you have all the latest updates installed or not, right? So these only downloading the signatures related to what all updates are available for your operating system. Even if your computer does not have access to internet, even if you do not update these signatures, you will still be able to view all the list of installed softwares. Okay. So let Belark application check what all softwares are installed on your machine. It will give you a report in a HTML form. You can directly open it on your web browser and view those. As you see, it is also trying to check for missing security patches. Because I'm running this application, Belark Advisor. So let it check for all the security patches. Sorry, let it show me the result. So okay, let me say show me the result. So here, as you see, Belark will open the result on the web browser and show you the result here. Now, as of now, what we are interested in is this particular section called software versions and usage. So click on software versions and usage. So here, as you see, Belark will show you a list of all the tools that are installed on your computer, right? Now, especially if you are using Windows 10 or Windows 11, you may see a lot of tools, right? Because Windows 10 and Windows 11 comes with so many different applications pre-installed, right? So you may see a very lengthy list of all the tools, but don't worry, right? Uh, you can try to see what is the name of that application. It tells you what is the name, right? And uh, the only thing is, you have to manually go through this list and check what all tools are present on your computer, right? So you'll have to do this activity manually, and anyway, you're doing it on your own computer for your own safety. So spending some 2 to 3 hours of time is not a bad idea, right? So you have to go through the list. So it tells you uh, from which company is the tool, right? Now, if you recognize some name, like say you have something like Microsoft, you have something like WinRAR and all, so we can easily identify, okay, so these are known softwares, right? So softwares from known vendors and all, right? But at the same time, you may also come across some things which you have not installed, right? Now here I see there is something like OpenSSH for Windows, and there is no company name, right? So if I want to see what actually is this tool or where is it installed, you see there's a small I symbol here besides every application on the left hand side. So you can just click on it. So it takes you to the location, right? Takes you to the location where exactly it is installed, and then it is also showing you a list of all the files that are present on that folder, right? So now let's say you have come to this location, C Windows System 32 Open SSH, and you are seeing some files, right? By looking at these files, if you are able to identify what is this software, well and good, right? But if you are unable to identify what is this software, what should we do? If I am unable to identify what is this software, right? Even after knowing the path and all, what should I do? Yeah, we'll have to investigate, and if it is something suspicious, we can delete. But how do we investigate? So we can take the path and also the file names that you see there. Try to give this particular file name and the path in a search engine. So whatever search engine you are comfortable using, right? So go to the search engine and try to search what is this so and so, right? What is the application name or what is the path? Now you'll have some results coming up, right? Some forums and all where people are speaking about that particular software or maybe that particular file name or the path and all, right? So there you can check what actually other people are telling about it, right? So once you review it, right, in 2 to 3 different locations, you'll get an idea whether is this useful software or is it something harmful and all. And if you feel that this is useless or this is harmful, you know the path, right? You know the location, you can delete it, right? So let us see. Okay, so there is something like, okay, see again, exe bundle. Now do we recognize this software exe bundle? Did we use it? Yes. So yesterday we were using exe bundle to bind our keylogger to some other genuine software, right? Okay, so this, we know about this software, we have installed it, so not an issue. Then there is something local synchronization host. So do you recognize local synchronization host? Did we install it? Did we use any tool in our sessions with such a name, local synchronization host? So I don't recollect, right? I don't recollect we have used some tool like local synchronization host, right? Okay, so we didn't install it, but maybe based on the name, right? Uh, Maybe this particular software can be something related to synchronizing files or configurations or something, right? But we are not really sure what exactly it is, right? So let us click on that link and see where exactly it is present. Okay, so here it says this local synchronization host. This particular software is available in C, Windows, syswow 64 and MPK. Looks to be some genuine software. It's in your so the syswow 64 is equivalent to your system 32 folder, right? So something related to your Windows operating system, and it has some files like mpk, mpkl64, mpk64, mpk.exe and all, right? So again, as I said earlier, if we are not really sure what is this software, we can always try to use a search engine and check what exactly is this, right? So let me once verify the path and mpk 64, right? So let us check this. mpk.exe in the path. Okay, so let us ask Google, what is this? mpk.exe is able to monitor applications and connect to internet. It can be there on system 32. Okay, so this is one of the result, right? Okay, so mpk is located in this. Mpk is digitally signed by refog. Now see this, mpk.exe is digitally signed by refog. And is this the keylogger that we have used earlier? Refog keylogger. Yes. So in our yesterday's session, we have installed this application refog keylogger. So okay, based on the name refog, we can say that yes, this is our keylogger. But let's say uh, you are trying to search for keyloggers on your computer. You are not really sure what kind of keylogger might be installed on the computer. It may be from refog or it may not be from refog. Right? So in such conditions, as you can see, uh, search engine is giving you with a different kind of results, right? So you'll have to go through the results, right? As I said, this has to be done manually and it is time taking task. We have to go through the results. We have to see what actually is this application, right? And then once you come to a conclusion, okay, this is a keylogger or maybe this is a unwanted application, this is something suspicious, then as you already know the path where exactly this software is present, you have to go with the next step. So what would be the next step after knowing the path of the unwanted application? So we have to uninstall the tool, right? Okay, so we have something like uh, unin000.exe, right? So you can either try to click on that, right? You will see if uninstallation will work or not. But as I said earlier, in most cases, uninstallation will not be uh, successful with your uninstallation will not be successful with the keyloggers. So the best option, make a note of this software, so the path, not the software. Make a note of the path. And as I said earlier, if you're using internet from a third party computer, right, you can use a Linux Live boot CD or a Linux Live USB, right? So even on your own computer, once you know the path, right? Once you know the path, you can try to check uh, if your computer means if you can try to see if you already have a bootable USB and all, right? So once you have a bootable USB, directly boot your computer with the bootable USB. Go to the path, navigate to the path, and then try to delete it. Right. So go to the path and then delete that particular folder. Why I say you'll have to delete the entire folder is because in most keyloggers cases, right, keyloggers will not let you uninstall it, right? So in such condition, instead of trying to go with uninstall, directly remove it from your computer itself. Is it clear? How to search if there is a keylogger on your computer, and if you find a keylogger, what is to be done to remove it? And as I said, this is a time taking task, right? So you'll have to spend a good 2 to 3 hours of your time, right, on going through the entire list of all the tools and all those things, right? Yes, Misha, right. In Linux, you will be able to use the Explorer. You will be able to navigate to all the partitions and all, right? So you will be able to see all the files and folders in Linux. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And then speaking about the other kind of attacks, what hackers are trying to do, right? Hackers are also trying to launch attacks on IoT devices. Now, what are IoT devices? Have you guys come across IoT? So IoT means Internet of Things. So what kind of devices come to the IoT category? So any of your so-called smart devices, right? So any of your so-called smart devices, they all are considered as IoT, right? Even your Wi-Fi routers, your Wi-Fi TV, means a TV which has a Wi-Fi capability, right? Your refrigerator, air conditioner, right? Uh, your speakers like your Alexa or Google Assistant and all, right? So all these devices which have the capability to communicate with internet, right? Receive some commands over internet and start functioning, right? So they all come under IoT category, right? So can I say your smartphone is an IoT device? Yes, your smart bulbs, smart refrigerators, smart lock, they're all IoT devices, right? And hackers are also trying to launch attacks onto these IoT devices, right? Again, nothing different, right? Uh, the attack techniques are more or less similar to what we have discussed earlier, but uh, the attack target device is a smart device here, right? Now here, let us first see how hackers are trying to launch attacks on to the core of this IoT. So the core of your IoT is network communication, right? Which in majority cases we enable using Wi-Fi, right? So are we all using Wi-Fi networks in our home, office, and everywhere? So we are all using Wi-Fi networks in our home, office, and all, right? So Wi-Fi has become a very common thing, right? So now, when you speak about a Wi-Fi network, right? as most of you are aware, you will have a Wi-Fi access point which can give you signals to a particular range or a particular area. Is that correct? You have a Wi-Fi access point, and that access point will give you signals to some range, maybe 10 meters or 20 meters or 15 meters, depending on how strong is the signal strength of this device and what category of a device it is. Now, let's say, for example, I have a Wi-Fi access point which can give me signals to 15 meters radius, right? So if I have my mobile phone or my laptop somewhere within this 15 meters range, I should be able to see this Wi-Fi access point, and I should be able to connect to this Wi-Fi network. Now let us say I'll consider two devices, A and B. It can be a mobile, it can be a laptop, whatever it is, right? Two Wi-Fi devices, it can be a smart device, A and B, right? Now, assuming these two devices, A and B, belong to my users, right? So they both belong to my users, right? So will these devices be able to connect with the access point and access internet? So yes, right? So these two devices, A and B, will be able to see that there is a Wi-Fi access point here, and they'll also be able to connect to the wireless network, access internet, or maybe if this access point is also connected to our local LAN network, right? So it can also access the resources in the LAN network, right? Guys, is everyone able to hear me? Okay, so maybe Vijay, once you can check your network connection, maybe there is some disturbance there. Okay, so if my access point is also connected to the local network, these devices A and B will also be able to access the local network resources and all, right? So these two devices, they can connect and they can access the resource. Now let us say I have a device, let's say H. Assume this device H belongs to the hacker. Can this device H see that there is a Wi-Fi access point here? So this device H, can it see that there is a Wi-Fi access point and there is a Wi-Fi network available here? It can see. Now, can this device H try to connect with our access point? Can it connect to our Wi-Fi network? Can device H connect to our Wi-Fi network? So it actually depends on what kind of a network is maintained by the access point. So when you speak about your Wi-Fi networks, you have open networks. So open network, as the name says, there's no password. So anyone can connect to this particular network. And then you have networks which implement WE Guys, am I audible now? Yeah. So, so let me share my screen. So if we see that there is a Wi-Fi access point somewhere here, assuming this access point is giving us signals to a range of say 15 meters. And if I have two devices, let's say A and B, right? Device A and device B, they will be able to see that there is a Wi-Fi access point here. And because these two devices belong to my users, they can connect and access the internet, and they can also access our LAN network, right? So they can get connected to internet and they can also access our LAN resources. So assuming there is a device H, right, which belongs to the hacker, this device H can also see that there is a Wi-Fi network, but it will not be able to directly connect to the network because it does not have the password unless your network is configured as a open network, right? And of course, we will not be configuring our Wi-Fi network as a open network. So obviously, there's no way for this hacker's device to directly connect with our network, right? But when you speak about different kind of passwords, you can configure Wi-Fi network with WEP, wired equivalent privacy. So WEP is a kind of security or a password method that you can use on the Wi-Fi network. Then you have WPA, Wi-Fi protected access, and WPA2, Wi-Fi protected access version 2. So these are like the three different type of uh, the password types or the security types that can be configured for your wireless networks. And in the recent times, there's a new WPA method which is released, which is WPA3, right? So you have a new type WPA3 also, right? And today, if you see, majority of your devices, maybe your mobile devices, your laptop and all, right? They always try to connect with WPA or WPA2 networks in majority cases because WEP is very old, it's outdated, right? And most of your Wi-Fi access point or your Wi-Fi routers, they don't even let you do the configuration for it, right? WPA3 is something new, right? So as of now, you don't see this WPA3 very widely. So you only see this in some newer Wi-Fi routers and all, and some newer devices support it, right? But it's not very widely used as of now. Right? So here, if a hacker knows the password, hacker can connect to the Wi-Fi network. But if hacker does not know the password, hacker cannot connect. So assume you are a hacker. If you are a hacker and you do not know the password of this Wi-Fi network, what kind of attack method will you prefer to get the password? So if you are a hacker and you do not know the password, which attack method would you prefer to get the password? Will you use sniffing, or will you use phishing or keylogging? or will you go with brute force or dictionary attack? So what kind of attack would you prefer? Okay, so here, if you do not know the password, right, you are actually going to use two different attacks, right? So for this Wi-Fi passwords, you'll be using two different attacks in combination, right? One is sniffing, right? Along with sniffing, you have to use dictionary based attack or dictionary based cracking, right? One is sniffing, the other is dictionary based cracking to crack the passwords. Now, sniffing, so that you will be able to capture the traffic between a client system and the access point, right? So you perform sniffing so that you will be able to capture the traffic between the client computer and the access point, right? And then you will have to use the password dictionary to crack it after you do the capturing, right? So here, what happens is when you speak about, say, the WPA or WPA2, the newer authentication methods, they use two passwords, WPA and WPA2, they use two passwords. One is a 48-bit authentication key, and the second is a 128-bit data encryption key. The first password is a 48-bit authentication key. The second is a 128-bit data encryption key. Right. Now, this 48-bit authentication key will be exchanged between the client device and the access point only once. Right. The 48-bit authentication key will be exchanged between the client device and the access point only once. That is when the client device is getting connected to the access point. So when client device is getting connected to access point, the authentication key will be exchanged. Once the authentication key is identified by the access point, right, the initial authentication is successful, then access point is going to give a 128-bit key for the data encryption. So once the initial authentication is successful, access point will provide a 128-bit key for data encryption, and client will use this 128-bit key to perform the data encryption. So all the data that is exchanged between the client computer or maybe the client device and the access point will be encrypted with 128-bit key, right? Now the problem here is, even though you are trying to sniff the traffic, are you really sure that the client device will connect to the Wi-Fi access point after you start sniffing? Do we have any guarantee that the client device will initiate the initial connectivity after you start sniffing? There's no such guarantee, right? So we are not really sure that the client device will connect after you start sniffing. So let's say the client device has already connected to the access point even before you have started your sniffing activity. The client device has already connected to the access point. Will you be able to capture this 48-bit and 128-bit authentication keys? So guys, we will not be able to capture this, right? We cannot connect the 48 and 128-bit authentication keys if the client device was already connected, right? So in such conditions, if you are a hacker, for you to successfully sniff the traffic and capture it, you have to perform one additional attack, right? You'll have to perform one additional attack, which is called de-authentication attack. You call it as de-authentication attack. So in de-authentication attack, what happens? As a hacker, you will continuously keep broadcasting a message into the network, asking all the connected client systems to disconnect. So you are a hacker, you are asking all the connected client systems to disconnect. So now, once this message is received by the client, what will the client do? And this particular message is sent by the hacker. The de-authentication message is sent by the hacker, but it will be sent as if it is coming from the access point itself. So in short, hacker is going to use the source MAC address as the access point MAC address and send the message. So now the client system is receiving a message which seems to be coming from the access point itself, and the message says you have to disconnect. It says you have to disconnect. So if it is saying that you have to disconnect, what happens? The client system will disconnect. The client system will be disconnecting, and once the client system disconnects, what happens to the device? So what happens when your mobile device disconnects from Wi-Fi? Will it stay disconnected or will it try to reconnect to the Wi-Fi network? So your client device, even if it is disconnecting, right, it will try to reconnect. So when it is trying to reconnect, will it see the same Wi-Fi network which it was connected to earlier? Let's say you are connected to a network X, and when your device got disconnected and it is trying to reconnect, it will still see that the Wi-Fi network X is still available. So it will try to reconnect. So when it is trying to reconnect, it has to do authentication, means it has to give a 48-bit encryption key, right, for the authentication, which can be captured by hacker because hacker is sniffing it. And the access point gives 128-bit key, which can also be captured by the hacker because hacker is already sniffing the network. So once the 48 and 128-bit keys are obtained, then hacker can use the dictionary-based attack to crack those encryption keys. Okay, so brute force will not be successful in this case, but hacker can use dictionary attack to crack the encryptions. So is a process clear what actually hackers are trying to do to crack our Wi-Fi passwords? Yeah, when you speak about how exactly the hacker knows what is the MAC address of the access point, right? So here I said hacker is trying to sniff the traffic, right? So when hacker is trying to sniff the traffic, right? When hacker is trying to sniff the traffic, is a hacker capturing the traffic between the client system and the access point? Hacker is able to capture the traffic between the client system and the access point, right? So if traffic between client system and access point is captured by looking at the source and destination packets, will you know what is the IP address that is being used in the network and also what is the MAC address? Yes. So it's because of sniffing, hacker will know what is the MAC address of the access point device, right? So it's only because of the sniffing. But there's a small catch. The catch is sniffing on a Wi-Fi card is not that easy. Every Wi-Fi card will not be able to support sniffing. So you need to have some Wi-Fi cards which are very specific, right? And they have to be designed for sniffing, right? So only Wi-Fi cards which has Intel 5100 series chipset, Atheros 9000 series chipset, and Ralink 2870, 3070 or 5370 chipsets will be able to do this sniffing. So only Wi-Fi cards which are having Intel 5100 series chipset or Atheros 9000 series chipset or Ralink 2870, 3070 or 5370 series chipsets will be able to sniff the traffic. So if my device as a hacker, when I'm trying to perform the sniffing, if my device, maybe my laptop where I'm trying to sniff the traffic and all, if it does not have any of these three chipsets, I will not be successful in performing the sniffing. I'll not be successful in performing the sniffing. So I have to first ensure that I have a Wi-Fi card which has any of these three chipsets. Only then I'll be able to proceed with sniffing the Wi-Fi network. Okay, is it clear? You need Wi-Fi cards which are very specifically made for this activity. Only then you will be able to perform the sniffing activity. So is it clear, everyone? What kind of chipsets are supported for Wi-Fi sniffing? Now, if you are confused on what kind of device should I purchase, right? Intel 5100 series is very old, right? So most probably now you don't really find a Wi-Fi card which has this chipset. Atheros 9000 series ones, right? You can find them in Alpha Wi-Fi cards. Alpha Wi-Fi cards will have Atheros 9000 series chipset. They are a bit expensive, and if you go with the Ralink ones, I would say the better one is uh, from a brand called Tenda W311M. This has Ralink 5370 series chipset, which is compatible, which is suitable for your Wi-Fi sniffing. Right? So you'll be able to use that. Ralink 5370 series chipset is available. Tenda W311M. So that's not very expensive, right? Around 6 to 700 Indian rupees, you should be able to get it. Alpha ones will be starting somewhere around 8 to 9,000 rupees in India. So you can check the prices according to your country and you can see. So now let us see how these applications will be used, right? How exactly the sniffing application and Wi-Fi cracking will be used. Right? So for this, you can use it from Kali Linux, right? So there are two options for you to proceed with Wi-Fi cracking. One is by using some tools which are available in Kali Linux, or no, you don't want to use Kali Linux, you want to do it from Windows. The same application that we have used for sniffing earlier, Kdenable, right? From Windows XP that we have used. The same tool can be used in Windows platform for Wi-Fi attacks, but you'll need a special Wi-Fi card which is compatible with Kdenable, that is AirPcap NX. AirPcap NX is very expensive, will be costing you somewhere around $698 before taxes, and later on VAT, import duties, shipping duties, and all those additional things you have to pay. So for Wi-Fi cracking, I would say the better option is going through Kali Linux and the Kali Linux tools, right, instead of the Windows version, right. So let me start my Kali Linux system. So we'll see how we can perform this Wi-Fi attack on Kali system. So the list of Wi-Fi chipsets, what I have given you, right? Intel, Ethos, and Ralink ones, they are compatible with your Kali Linux, so you don't have to worry about the compatibility part. They'll be working with your Kali Linux systems. Right? So once my Kali VM boots up, right, I'll also show you how to check if Kali has identified our Wi-Fi card or not. So on Kali, you can give a command to see if the Wi-Fi card has been detected or not. You can give a command sudo airmon-ng. So it will ask you for your user account password. So give the password. Okay, so here when you give the command sudo airmon-ng, if you see the interface name, the driver that is being used, and the chipset that is identified. So if you are seeing this information, what is the interface name, what is the driver, and what is the chipset, then Kali Linux has identified your Wi-Fi card. So it means Kali has identified your Wi-Fi card. If say you don't see any information here, so this is all blank, it means Kali did not identify your Wi-Fi card. So your Wi-Fi card is not compatible with Kali Linux. Is it clear how to check if your Wi-Fi card is compatible with Kali Linux or not? Guys, are you clear how to check if the Wi-Fi card is compatible with Kali Linux or not? Okay, so as you see, Kali has identified my Wi-Fi card. I'll now be able to proceed with the Wi-Fi attack. That is, I'll be doing sniffing, deauthentication parallelly, and then I'll also do the dictionary attack after I capture the handshake. So handshake is nothing but this authentication between the user device, that is the client device, and the access point. So whatever authentication that is happening, that is the 48-bit initial authentication and then receiving the 128-bit encryption key, you call it as handshake. So after you capture the handshake, you go with the dictionary attack. Right? So for this, I'll be using an application called AirGidon. So this is not inbuilt into your Kali. You have to download and install it separately. So all you just do is just type the command airgidon. Kali will download and install it. Right? So once installed, uh, let us continue. So the application will check if your computer has, sorry, if your Kali installation has all the required tools or not. So if it has all the required tools, then it will proceed. If not, it will give you an option to install the missing tools and all. Right? Okay. So here it is showing you that there are two interfaces. You have ETH0 and WLAN 0. ETH0 is your Ethernet interface, right? WLAN 0 is your Wi-Fi card. And here earlier we saw WLAN 0 is the Wi-Fi card that we have connected. There's one which has this Realtek chipset. So I say go with option number 2. That is, I'm selecting the chipset which will be used for sniffing. Okay, so once I select the interface, the next step is to place the interface in monitor mode. If you remember when we are discussing about sniffing, I said that after you install WinPCAP, your computer will start accepting all the traffic, whatever is hitting the interface. You call it as promiscuous mode. So promiscuous mode is for your Ethernet or for the LAN card. Monitor mode is for your Wi-Fi card, right? So I say place the interface into monitor mode. That is option number 2. So it will place your Wi-Fi card into monitor mode, right? So once it is placing it into the monitor mode, then we'll have to capture the handshake. Then we'll have to capture the handshake. So for this, go to option number 5, right? Okay, so once you select option number 5, now you'll have to see what is your target. You'll have to check traffic towards which Wi-Fi network or which access point has to be captured, right? So go with option number 4, trying to check for the targets. So it will search for all the available Wi-Fi networks around you. So once it is able to identify all these Wi-Fi networks available, you can say Control C to stop it. So it gives you a list of all the Wi-Fi networks that are identified. Okay, so here there's a WPA2 Wi-Fi network, ransom X. A star means this particular network has some client, right? Now, because for you to capture the handshake, you are going to perform de-authentication attack. De-authentication will only be successful if there is a client connected. If there is no client, de-authentication will not be successful, right? So here it is showing us if the client is available or not. So it says for this network there is a client. So let me select the target network as option number 10. So once I have selected that, now I say capture the handshake. Go with option number 6. So now it is asking you the next step to capture the handshake. What should I do? Should I go with de-authentication using air replay or disassociate method, right? I say go with the air replay, and then it says how long do you want this de-authentication attacks to be done. Let me say do it for 30 seconds. So it says for the next 30 seconds it will keep on sending a message to the client saying that you have to now disconnect. So once the de-authentication message is received, the client device will disconnect from the network, and then it will start searching for the Wi-Fi network available. And if it starts searching and if it is identifying the correct Wi-Fi network, you'll also be able to capture the handshake. And as you see, by the time I said you'll be able to capture the handshake was captured, and then it is saying, do you want me to save it here? So I can say save the captured handshake in this location /home/cybersec/handshake. Okay, so the Wi-Fi handshake has been captured. So once the handshake is captured, the next step is to brute force or to use dictionary attack and crack it. Okay, so the handshake has been captured. Now let us go back to the main menu, and here I'll go with offline WPA and WPA2 decryption. So go with option number 6. Now what kind of a network it is? Okay, the personal network. So it is giving you the dictionary attack or brute force attack, what exactly you want, right? So I say I want to go with the dictionary attack, and it says that In this location, there is a Wi-Fi handshake captured file. Do you want to use it? I say yes, I want to use it. Okay, use the say. So it is again asking you. There was a Wi-Fi access point to which this attack was done. Are you continuing with the password cracking for the same access point? Yes. Then finally, it is asking you where exactly is your password dictionary. So I say my password dictionary is in /home/cybersec Wi-Fi password. So this is my password dictionary file. Then it says, do you want to start decryption? Yes. So it will try to crack all the passwords, and then it says if it is able to find a correct password, it says that this is a correct password using which you can join the Wi-Fi network. It was able to crack the password and it is showing us the detail. Okay. So is this clear? What is the procedure to be followed for cracking the Wi-Fi passwords? Simple procedure. You don't have to remember any commands and type it and all, right? But only thing is you have to just have a compatible Wi-Fi card, right? And then go through the series of steps like what I have shown to capture the handshake and then to crack it. Okay, so it says like, okay, do you want to save this decrypted password? If you want to save it, you can say yes, save the password. So next time when you try to capture the handshake of a same access point, you don't have to go through cracking the password and all. It will directly say already there is a password cracked for this, and it shows you the password. Now if you don't want to save the password, you can just say no, don't save it. Just you can go back to the main menu and then exit. So when you're uh, clicking, so when you say exit from the application, right, you can also say do you want to have this monitor mode? Always say no. Mr. Bright, when you say your laptop's Wi-Fi card is not compatible, uh, you always have you always have an option of using USB Wi-Fi cards, right? So this Ralink, the one which I have given you, right? That is a USB Wi-Fi card, right? So even if your laptop inbuilt Wi-Fi card is not compatible, you can still use the USB one. It will work. Okay, so that's how hackers are trying to crack your Wi-Fi passwords. Right? Link to purchase it, you'll have to check. Maybe you'll go with Amazon or maybe whatever online shopping portals you have, or maybe you can also check it in the local market. Uh, WPA, WPA2 will be cracked with these methods. WPA3, as of now, you don't have it. So uh, once WPA3 becomes very widely used, then you'll also see WPA3 cracking methods based on what kind of weakness were found in WPA3. But as of now, WPA and WPA2 are being cracked. WPA3, no. And practically speaking, WPA3 is a very new version, right? So even today, you don't have many devices which support WPA3 encryption. So it would take some time. Once it becomes widely adapted and all, then if there are some weakness in the WPA3 encryption methods, you'll also be seeing these updates. So new methods to crack the WPA3 also. But as of now, WPA3 is safe. But again, your Wi-Fi access point and also your Wi-Fi client devices should be supporting WPA3. Okay, so in the next session, we will discuss with few more IoT attacks, right? And then we will see what sort of precautions we can take to stop this kind of attacks, right? Okay, so is that clear? Okay, yeah. So we'll meet in the next session on Monday. We will discuss with a few more IoT attacks, and then we will see how do we protect ourselves from these kind of attacks and all. Okay. So any other queries? Okay, so I'll end the session for today. So we'll meet on Monday. Thank you all.